Hello, Aviation and Sirens. Good afternoon. How are you today? Thank you for joining. Hope you're having an awesome day. I'm glad it's Friday. It's been an interesting week, but I've been looking forward to this time. This is my way of unwinding. Good. I'm glad you're doing well. Glad you're doing well. We're actually going to have a little bit of discussion tonight about some an educational side of things. I know most of the time we get on here, we're just talking about random stuff, which is still fine. But I've noticed something on the channel the other day, and I have been wanting to do this, address a result of a quiz, because I was not surprised that so many people answered in a particular way, but more so just explain why the answer is not necessarily the answer people thought. So, recorded a siren today. Okay, cool. Where my office is literally like man, it's pretty close. I'd say 30 yards from a fire department, and so I hear sirens a lot. And then on Wednesdays, I hear the tornado siren. So it's really loud. But I grew up. My dad was a firefighter when I was a kid, so I spent a lot of time around the local police department and the fire department because they were actually joined building wise. They shared the same facility, and so I remember vividly riding in the fire truck and working the siren for my dad. It was a lot of fun. I having problems with some YouTube stuff, huh? Man, I hate that. You're not the only one that I've heard that's having some sort of difficulties. So hopefully you can get that straightened out. Hey, for old Circle Aviation, how you doing today, my friend? Good to see you. Glad you joined in. Glad you were able to make it. I'm gonna give a little bit more time for some people to join in so we can have a little bit of an educational moment. CB, hello, how are you? So good to see you. Always a pleasure. CB, I brought you up in a conversation the other day at work. I'm always talking about aviation, no matter where I'm at, and we got talking about um, Canadian aviation, not necessarily like flying in Canada, but some of the manufacturers uh, that provide some of, in my opinion, some of the greatest products. And of course, my go-to when anyone talks about aviation in Canada, the first thing I talk about is Pratt and Whitney, because I absolutely love the Pratt and Whitney PT6, and it's one of my absolute favorite engines. To the point where the airplane that I designed is even modeled using Pratt PT6s. I just think it's the greatest turboprop motor ever. But anyway, I think I surprised the individual. I don't think he understood just how much Canada contributes to our aerospace industry, and so it was a fun conversation. Fun conversation, but glad everyone's here. Good deal, aviation and sirens. I'm gonna be looking forward to those. Good deal. Thank you, CB. I really have fun doing these because, like I said before, I feel like I'm. This is my connection to all of you, and it allows me not just to share information, but learn information too. I've learned just as much from y'all as I hope. Hopefully, you've learned something from me. Um, I plan to change things up a little bit with live streams and to be more educational oriented instead of just general discussion. But I'm glad that you enjoy these. These are a lot of fun, and it's a great way to meet people from around the world and share ideas. And some of our discussions I've had just a blast, especially like our discussion when we were talking about Rutan and the pond racer. You are the only person, CB, and any of the rest of you that have joined here, if you are familiar with the pond racer, please let me know. I'm interested to know how many people know of this airplane. Uh, no one has ever been able to have a discussion with me about the pond racer. And so, CB, you absolutely amazed me. I thought that was fantastic. What a great airplane. It's a shame that there was only one and it's gone. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Pond, was killed in that crash. But, there's some things that when you're really hardcore aviation people, yeah, there's some things that you just can't talk about to just ordinary people because they don't know what you're talking about. So that was a great time. I really enjoyed that. So, for Circle Ravers, you have a siren across the street from your house. Yeah. So you may have missed just a few minutes ago. I was talking to uh, talking about how the local fire department is like 30 yards from the office that I work at. And so every Wednesday, the tornado drill goes off, fire trucks are coming and going. So I can relate to that. The siren is always a going. But interesting, it never really bothers me. And, I grew up, my father was a firefighter when I was really little. So maybe that's why it doesn't bother me. I don't really mind the noise. Like some people consider it really, really irritating, especially during work. But I don't really care. Actually, they can blast them all they want. Yeah, you bet, CB. Canada. I tell you what, great things come from Canada. Sure, there sure does. That's just. I would love to see the PT6 being built. Now there are some pretty decent videos of the internals, and I think it's actually not Pratt, but I think it's a repair shop that services or overhauls the PT6. But how cool would it be to actually go to Pratt and get a tour of their way of assembling a PT6? I think that would be mind-boggling. I would spend a lot of time there. But yeah, aviation sirens. Yeah, you got to visit Canada. I've been one time, and it wasn't. I didn't go too far into Canada, but I can officially say I've been. It was near the Niagara Falls area, but I remember telling my wife at the time we were fairly newlyweds, and we flew into Buffalo and then took a car up to the falls to see the falls. It was actually in the middle of winter. It was really nice. The water was frozen over and stuff. It was really cool. But I remember saying, "Hey, I got to go. I'm this close. I am this close. I have to go." And so we did, and it was a lot of fun. Great people there. And the company I work for, we have a facility in near Quebec, and there's a couple coworkers that I get to talk to frequently that are in our Canada location, and man, just super people. Um, I am beautiful. Oh man, some of the pictures that they share with us are just mind-boggling. The countryside of Canada is so absolutely just incredibly beautiful. So I really like the pictures. X-59 flew supersonic for the first time. Oh, that's great news, CB. I missed that. Wow, thank you for sharing that. That's something I'm gonna have to gonna write it down so I can try to stay on top of things. So the X-59 flew supersonic. That's really cool. I'm glad that we're seeing some aeronautics out of NASA these days. It was really, really fast paced during the 80s, early 90s, but it kind of slowed down for a while. And I'm glad to start seeing some of that now. And, it may not be that it slowed down. It may be the simple fact that technology makes it more accessible these days. But I'm looking forward to that. Okay, Toronto. Great. Awesome. Yeah, that's great, CB. You know, it's great to be a part of a country like that. Sometimes I think the United States is not so welcoming. We say we are, but sometimes, depending on where you go, maybe not so welcoming. That's kind of harsh for me to have to say that about the United States. I think sometimes we can project the wrong image and not seem so welcoming. But for what it's worth, here in Georgia, man, Southern hospitality. Come by and visit us. We'll let you sit on our front porch and we'll drink coffee. There. Oh, hey, Brian. Good to see you. I thought I saw your screen name pop up there. Sorry I skipped over you there, but welcome. Hope you're doing well. How are things in England today? Hopefully very well. Hope you had a great week, my friend, and hopefully you're gonna have some good plans for the weekend to relax and enjoy things. Always a pleasure to see y'all. Oh yeah, the Aries. Oh, that's cool. Full circle. Yeah, I know. I've always wanted to go out towards Edwards Air Force Base, and I know Scaled is not the same company now. I know Burt Rutan has kind of, uh, I guess, for the lack of a better phrase, he has sold the company, and I know it's being operated differently. I think even Burt Rutan, I think he's moved to Colorado or someplace. Him and his wife, so they've moved kind of out of the area and are enjoying retirement. I think Burt Rutan's brother is also living there with him, whatnot. But anyway, pretty neat. I'd still like to see it. I think it's pretty awesome. Y'all don't let me skip any of these comments because I'm trying. Y'all are busy with the fingers today, so typing away, which that's great. Okay, full circle with the Niagara last summer. That's great. I agree with you. The Canadian side is much more beautiful to me. I agree. Watching the Oshkosh live stream, it's hard to not pay attention to Oshkosh. Yeah, Iron Eagle 3. Yeah. Man, those were movies that were really important to me when I was a kid. The first time I saw Iron Eagle, the original one, was fantastic. That's how I became an F-16 fan. I built many F-16 models as a young man after that movie. And I did you care for the second and third one? And I think there was a fourth one too. Did you care for those as much as you did the first one? I personally didn't. I think some of the realism kind of went away. It got kind of, um, it got, for an aviation enthusiast, I think it kind of went a direction that I wasn't really expecting it to. Of course, the first one, how accurate is the fact that a colonel's son can sneak into a base and get in a falcon and go flying with him, and then in turn steal one and go get his dad. It's a little unrealistic as well, but it's still a great movie. Another great one from the '80s. Yeah, I think you're right. Full circle. Yeah, Nebraska. Yeah, that's another state I would like to visit. Never been there. Maybe one day. Yeah, sure did, CB. I certainly agree with that. Oh no, you deleted the screenshot. Yeah, Brian, I think we'll see like the next um, edition, so to speak, of the Concorde. I don't know if it'll look like the Concorde because the shape of a supersonic aircraft is very important. So we're trying to get towards now where we're having silent or quieter. It's never going to be silent, but quieter supersonic flight. And what that means is we have to control those shock waves. So to control those shock waves, we're going to have to change the design and shape of the wing. So I'm not really sure. I know there was like a Boeing project with the SST that's been going on for a little while. It's more of a research thing. I don't think anyone's building an actual full scale prototype or anything like that. But I think we'll definitely see something in the future, hopefully the near future. I think it'd be interesting. And if we can conquer controlling the shock waves and making sonic booms disappear, or at least making them where it's not so powerful, then we might see supersonic flight over land. Because right now in the United States, it is illegal to break the sound barrier over land. But even though it has happened a few times accidentally, reportedly. But I think it'd be really cool. I'd certainly like to be a part of that. That era. Um, it'd be really great. I'm not following with the guitar thing. I think I'm missing something there. United Breaks Guitars. Is that from the bag guys, the bag guys throwing bags, breaking guitars? Is that what we're referring to? Um, that's kind of sad if it is. I never worked too closely to some of the bag toss when I was at Delta, but I see videos today, and I think there's even been one of Delta where people are just not taking care of people's luggage, and that's very disappointing. And in today's world, where everyone's got a camera on their phone, why would you even chance that? Just do the right thing. Integrity is something we should all exercise. Do the right thing even when people are not looking. Oh, Southwest is bad about that too. Oh, that's that's not good. Southwest is another airline that I like them. I do like. The only thing I caution about Southwest is that their entire fleet is 737s. That could be a problem if something was to happen where the FAA grounded 737s. Um, their whole fleet could be on the ground. That would be really scary. I agree, CB. That's the best scene. The Cessna, the A150 Aerobat, in the dirt bike. That's one of the best scenes ever. I wonder how much of that was real. I've flown in an Aerobat before. They're certainly very capable smaller aircraft. And quite frankly, I mean, you can do just about anything in them. But I wonder if any of that was may not be CGI, because that might be before CGI. But I wonder how much was special effects and how much was actually really flown. And I still wonder how they did the landing with the nose gear collapses. It collapsed like it was a retractable nose gear, and it's of course y'all know it's not. It's a fixed landing gear. But anyway, interesting, and how the prop survived. The propeller was in flawless shape after being whipped through the dirt. Oh, full circle. I understand now. Yeah, yeah. I tell you what, if you mess up, you better own up to it, because some people have interesting ways at repaying for your stupidity. And man, did he do it or what? Yeah, I forgot about that. I remember now. Well, let me briefly. I mean, we can get back to talking about all kinds of stuff. But back, I probably should have looked up the date, but a little while back, why this not? Oh, here we go. A little while back, I posted kind of a quiz. It's this one right here, And basically what the quiz or the question was is the critical angle of attack at which a given airplane stalls is dependent on the, and then you had three choices: attitude and airspeed. And pardon the typo there, I did not notice that I had uh, misspelled airspeed, but gross weight and the design of the wing. Now, this is kind of a trick question. Now, as most of us will think of an airplane wing stalling, we think of airflow and what is what is controlling that. And sometimes it's the airspeed and the attitude of the aircraft. So the first thing we take from this question or statement is a given aircraft. So the airplane doesn't matter. The airplane is pointless. Which airplane is what type of airplane? We're just talking about a generic airplane that's flying, and we have these three choices here. So the majority, over 50%, answered attitude and airspeed. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you would have asked me this same question maybe 25 years ago, I would have answered exactly like these 59%. So obviously that is not the correct answer. Gross weight does not even, I mean, it gross weight is way off in a, way off on the side there. But we do have some people think about it. Now, why would you think about gross weight? Because weight affects everything. So an airplane that's heavier will stall sooner, for the lack of a better word of explaining that. There's a possibility it could stall easier and sooner. Then we have the design of the wing, which is the correct answer. So I went back to some notes that I had, which is all this, because I keep notes. I'm gonna start uploading all this to the website too, by the way, so y'all can have a lot. Every time I pull out some notes to talk about something, I'm gonna upload them. So I'll get these uploaded. So we're looking at a stall, but we're looking at, is it attitude and attitude and airspeed, or are we talking about the actual design of the wing? Here we're talking about the design of the wing, and the reason for is technically the stall does not care about your airspeed or your attitude. An airplane wing can stall at any speed. This was kind of difficult for me to really comprehend as a young man, but I was trying to figure out a way to kind of get this point across earlier. But think of it like this: when you see the F-22 demo team fly, sometimes they will fly and then immediately pull up into a vertical, and you see all the vapor coming off the wings. Well, that indicates the wing has stalled. It is absolutely not creating any lift. The reason that the F-22 is not falling out of the sky at that point is because of two reasons. One, it has momentum. The airplane is even if it's moving very slowly, there's still a lot of force and motion there. And the second thing is because we have a power to weight ratio or thrust ratio greater than 1-to-1, so the airplane can just about nearly hover in space. So that's the reason it does that. Now, wings stall easiest or less likely to stall if the airplane is also level, because as you roll the wing, the vertical component. So see the wing area here, the area between tip to tip is like here. That's your effective span right there versus all this area. So the harder your airplane is banked, the quicker it will enter a stall configuration. So, and then that gets complicated even further if you've got flaps down and landing gears out, stuff like that, because you're creating more drag. So let me read this to you, and then I'll read some comments. Um, I'm going to read this word for word. This is a little thing that I wrote. I don't know how long ago, but hopefully it makes sense. It says this is one of the most common misconceptions in aviation: the idea that an airplane stalls because it's going too slow or because its nose is pointed too high. In reality, a stall is entirely about the angle of attack, specifically exceeding the critical angle of attack. For a given aircraft configuration, that critical angle is a fixed physical limit determined by the design of the wing itself. So it is built in. It is a built-in limitation, and it's going to be different for different airplanes. Um, so basically, it's completely independent of how fast the airplane is flying or its orientation. Orientation meaning its attitude, how it's positioned in space. So, what do y'all think about that? It's kind of one of those things that make you scratch your head. Now, when you are flying and you slow down, people think, well, the slowing down of the airplane is causing the stall. In reality, if you're flying this 737-800 and you slow down, what's going to happen? Anybody want to take a guess? What's going to happen to the orientation of this airplane, the attitude of this airplane as we approach the stall speed? The answer is we're going to have to increase our angle of attack. The angle of attack has to be increased because since we're flying slower, we have to increase the angle of attack to keep the airplane flying, or else if you just keep the nose straight, um, it's just gonna be a bad day for you. So as the angle of attack increases, we're already slow. It's actually the angle of attack that creates the flow separation. So we have turbulent flow, non-laminar flow over the upper surface, the upper camber of the wing. What happens then? Well, we lose the Bernoulli's effect. The Bernoulli's principle, we just literally wadded it up like a paper ball and threw it out the window. And like I said, I think a couple of times in the past, what else is going on besides Bernoulli's principle? We also have Newton's third law of motion. So because of the Coanda effect and the airflow being attached to the airfoil, we create downforce. So the downwash, that's the correct word I was looking for. The downwash of the airflow coming off the wing comes down like this. Well, what's the third law of motion of that? For every action, we have an equal and opposite reaction. So depending on how much downwash we have, the opposite reaction is we're pushing the airplane up. So if we remove any one of those, if we remove Bernoulli's principle or the downwash, the Coanda effect, we lose lift. The airplane is not going to fly. Some people will argue the fact that you create lift strictly on the Bernoulli's principle method. Some people will argue the fact that Bernoulli has nothing to do with it. It's simply the angle of the wing to the relative wind. I'm here to tell you folks, it's both. They cannot exist without the other. And we're going to get in greater detail about that when we talk about the generational lift in the lecture series later this month. That is going to be proven to you. So anyway, that is where the answer of design of the wing comes from. Every single wing on every single airplane in existence has a critical angle of attack. And it doesn't matter if the airplane is upside down, whether it's in a hard bank, whether it's flying fast or flying slow. When you approach that angle, the wing simply is not going to generate lift because the flow has already separated. So hopefully that makes sense. I just wanted to share that with y'all because I saw the number of people that answered with attitude and airspeed versus who answered designing. There's another one or two that I also noticed that it was kind of a split. Some people went hard to the left, some people went hard to the right. So I want to further explain those to where people understand them. So hopefully that worked. Hopefully that worked. And if it didn't, let me know and we'll talk about it some more. So let me get this off of here. And I don't know why my computer's not. Oh, there it goes. Sometimes this thing doesn't work. Anyway, I hope that was informative. That will make better sense now. So anyway, there is no right or wrong. It's all about learning, and that's one thing that I will never do. I will never say you're wrong or you're crazy or you've lost your mind. It's all about learning. It just gives me an opportunity to further explain what I'm showing, what I'm representing. Okay, let's see. Let me back up a little bit. So we got CB here talking about the Aerobat again. All the scenes with Aerobat was full scale photography. I don't recall too many cuts, which, I agree with you. That's a great thought with RC aircraft because, the movie Blue Thunder, most of that, except for the scenes where the helicopter was hovering, was actually an RC airplane. And the reason because the full scale Blue Thunder was inherently unstable and very nose heavy. So we know that RC planes were used in that respect, but I think I agree with you. It really looked believable that it was a real aircraft, but man, so close to those cliffs. I'm like, wow. The part where they're low over the road, motorcycles, I remember thinking as a kid, I was like, all it would take is for that pilot to speed up just a little bit, and then we're going to have a catastrophe. There's going to be a dirt bike and a human being chopped up by a 71-inch propeller. But yeah, it is a great scene. I would like to have a poster of that scene, part of that. That would be pretty cool to have it hanging up. Yeah, I agree with you. The Iron Eagle 3 with had the Lightning and the Mitsubishi Zero. It was something else. And was it a Spitfire? I think it was a Spitfire. Those are all great. I agree. Yeah, it was neat to see the more older aircraft of that era. So you got good weather up there in Canada. We finally have got a sunny day. It's not very warm. It's kind of a cool, breezy, sunny day here on the mountain. And the previous 3 or 4 days have been nothing but rain. So it's kind of nice that we got some sun out today, and it's amazing because when it rains for several days at a time, which is pretty common up here, it does affect you emotionally and whatnot, and you get kind of depressed, and then the sun pops out, and it's like you won the lottery. So when I walked out of work today, I was really excited that the sun was up, and it actually made me feel better. I felt quite a bit more alive. So I'm glad that it's sunny up there. Yeah, aviation sirens. I hope that gets straightened out. That's got to be frustrating. I know a couple of y'all have told me about issues where you're kind of like you're blocked or something. Fortunately, that hasn't happened with me yet, but I'm sure at some point I'm going to bump heads with the YouTube staff. So knock on wood. We'll see what happens. Yeah, patience and perseverance is key. Absolutely. I think some days at work I'm pushed to the limit on those, especially with patience. But yeah, you have to stay focused. Absolutely. The source of this information, ooh, that's going to be difficult. That's one thing I don't think I have. Um, I'm sure I didn't just come up with all this myself. I will give you an idea of a lot of my stuff does come from the FAA's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. It is a great publication. You can buy it on Amazon, but you can also download it for free at the FAA's website. So if you and again, this is U.S. based information, so there's some things in this book that won't apply to other areas, stuff like the regulations and whatnot. But for the most part, especially about reading instruments and the forces of flight and what's going on, it all applies. That the boundaries are removed for that part. But if you go to the FAA website, or you can just simply in the Google search, just type in FAA manuals. And if you do that, you will find an abundant amount. It's a list of manuals that you can download and use for free. And there's everything from weather, there's instrument flying, there's helicopter manuals, not specific to a helicopter type, but like a helicopter manual for a student pilot to learn the basics of helicopters. There's the airplane book of aeronautical knowledge. There's the Airman's Information Manual. All these are really, really great resources. This is something that I also plan to add to my site soon. Is quick links to where you can find this stuff, and it's going to be just a straight link to the FAA's website. So there may be more and better manuals. Like Transport Canada. It's been a while since I've been on their website. I used to deal with Transport Canada quite a bit in a former career in aviation, but I'm willing to bet Transport Canada has a similar page with manuals and stuff. That kind of gets me curious because you never know what you're going to find. You might find something that we don't have. So every country has their own version of the FAA. So yeah, check out that government website. As I create new stuff, this that I just read is probably 20 years old. I've got a jump drive that I save all kinds of notes on because at some point it's going to become relevant in a conversation. So I don't honestly know where this came from. But if I had to guess, probably the Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. So give that a try. I'll do better in the future when I create new notes and I should do this always. You should always share your source. But I will, without any hesitation, admit I did not just come up with this out of my head. It's probably one of those days where I was sitting at home and doing some research and found some of the answers. So sorry I can't help you more specifically with that, but maybe that will help. The 737 MAX 10, I don't know if it's out. I know the 37 MAX 9 is certainly out. The MAX 8, of course, everybody knows about because nobody likes them. But hopefully they got the MAX 8 squared away with its software issues. But don't know. Yeah, you're welcome, CB. I'm glad I could share that. And like I said, I can post this as well. This is actually 2 pages. I just kind of read the summary. So this is 2 full pages of notes here. I can certainly type this up or put the file in my website. And I may do that. I think I'm going to do that. So give me a little bit of time, and it'll be there for you to read, because this specifically breaks it down into what actually. So there's a couple bullet points. So what actually causes the stall, which we hit on, and then why speed and attitude really don't matter. It's about the critical angle of attack, what the airplane wing is designed to do and what it's not designed to do. So, and I think after that, it gets into a little bit of like the plan form of the wing, the airfoil, as far as the camber and thickness of the cambers, and also the use of slats and flaps, how it all contributes to that critical angle of attack. So obviously the critical angle of attack is going to decrease when you extend slats and flaps because you're helping the lift coefficient, you're boosting that lift coefficient of the wing. So stuff like that. Yeah, that's interesting. Aviation sirens. I'll have to look into that. So, has anyone looked at the? I can probably share this as well on my screen. Has anyone looked at the aircraft database that I'm building on the website recently? I came across something really interesting that when I read it, I actually had to go back and like double double check myself because I was almost convinced that I had read something wrong. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll share it. And we'll talk about it a little bit. It's very interesting thing that Boeing has done. One I tell you what, I got two. If you truly want to learn about aerospace, whether it's the space side of it or the aviation side of it, I will say this: if you can, if you can teach a class, now you ain't got to sit in front of the library to a bunch of people, but if you can just act the part out like you're teaching someone, even if you're talking to yourself, you will learn more than you ever think you will. Um, and the second thing is write about it. If you think you know something about a particular topic, write a one page report about it, and you will learn what you truly know and what you don't know. I think I have been humbled in my past when I get up in front of a group of people and some of their comments, and I find myself, I don't know the answer to that question. Well, I don't look at it like, ooh, I just literally lost control of that and I failed. But I look at it as, let me write that down because there's always more to learn. So that's what's important. So if you go to aerospacefix.com and you click on reference material and then you click on aircraft database, I'm going to go ahead and share this. And this is a Boeing aircraft that is modified for military use. Getting all these notifications. So if we look at, let's see here, we need to, and if you haven't looked at this recently, you'll see I've added a lot of Beechcraft to it. There is a lot of Beechcraft stuff. Here we go. And now we're looking at the Boeing fleet. So I got to study a little bit about this, the 3.7 based wedge tail, which is pretty awesome. I do have the Max 10 on here. Interesting. Let me see if I can find what I was looking at, because here we go. I believe it was a 7.5 or a 7.6. It has to be a 7.6 because 7.5 is out of production. Here we go. Yeah, here we go, right here. The KC 146. No, it's not gonna open up the note. Well, anyway, it's very interesting. Let me see if I can. This is. I'm sorry, folks. It just ruins my phone because this is kind of like a Frankenstein airplane. It has. Yeah, it's based on the 200, but it's got the fuselage of the 200. I'm trying to remember. I'm embarrassed because I can't pull up this information. You should be able to see this if you're not. For some reason, it won't let me open up the notes in a shared screen for whatever reason. So anyway, they take a 767-200, and it has the cargo door of like the ER and the wing of something else. So I was really amazed how they took like three different versions of the 767 to create this airplane. I never realized that. I think I just thought it was a 400 ER the whole time. And when I started really digging in the details, I kind of uncovered this and I was amazed. So, pretty neat thing. Um, Pretty neat. You never know what you're going to learn when it comes to airplanes. Especially when you get really into the details of these things, it's pretty amazing. So, all right, let me uh, let me get off of this. I wasted y'all's time on that one. Sorry, I really was hoping to show you all the details of that. Maybe another time. So, anyway, other things that are going on right now. I'm probably going to be working on the wind tunnel this weekend. I hope. I've got an area cleared off over here in front of me. New stuff on the wall. What y'all think? I'm still when I first I go, that's a Dassault. No, it's an the F4. And CB, I think it was you that brought up that the landing gear and stuff kind of looks like other. And then at one time, especially with the canards and stuff, I'm like, wait a minute, it's got a lot of gripping look to it. And then someone chimed in and says, I bet it's an AI image, and it was like a light bulb. I'm like, you're right. I think it's kind of an airplane of maybe different origins that are all combined into one. So um, who knows? But kind of interesting. But anyway, not to not to draw attention to myself, but I recently had a birthday on Wednesday, and so I got my oldest son gave me this, and this was part of a couple of gifts from other members of my family, and the shirt. Let me show you the shirt. You got to look at the shirt. So it's all about the phonetic alphabet. So ask me how many people I wore this shirt to work today. Ask me how many people I confused. No one understood it, and so I just gave up. It was pretty funny, but um, oh no, severe thunderstorm, full circle. Yeah, that's we have a lot of bad thunderstorms here and tornadoes. So hopefully things are good. Sky's clear. That's good. Good deal. Thank you, CB. Thank you, Full Circle. I appreciate that. Aviation Sirens, much appreciated. I turned 49 this year. Um, that's a little hard. Next year's going to be hard, I think. But I'm trying to remember exactly how I explained it to a friend of mine over the phone. I really don't know how I feel about reaching 50. And if any of you are 50, please don't take that as an insult. Um, there's a great line in a movie that I really love. Has anyone seen the movie The Guardian? It's about the Coast Guard. Kevin Costner is the star player in that movie. Fantastic movie, by the way. But as he is getting older and he's starting to get, his body's kind of worn out, um, the older woman actress, she's a singer, well-known singer. I just can't think of her name right now. Um, she makes a comment to him. She says, "Getting old is not bad. It's earned." And so I try to think about that because I truly think that's true in a way. We don't make it just by waking up every morning. We have to, as you get older, and you young people out there will find out for yourself. Older, you have to make more of an effort to get through a day, and and especially as your body starts to degrade, so to speak. But yeah, 49. It seems like I was 23 last year. I'll be married 24 years this year. Later this month on the 22nd. It does not seem like I've been married 24 years. It seems like I've been married 6. And my youngest biological son is 20. And I'm like, that doesn't even seem right. Uh, I don't know. It's hard sometimes, but I'm trying to stay focused. But I appreciate the birthday wishes. That's very much appreciative. Um, it was a good day. It was a good day. Um, what really makes my birthday hard is I also lost my dad at the same time. So that's difficult. Every birthday going forward is also still a day that I miss my father, and I know he didn't do that on purpose, and I'm sure without a shadow of a doubt he would have not wanted that to happen. But that's the way it happened, and so I spend most of my birthday not thinking about what my kids are going to do or what kind of cake I'm going to have, and but I wake up thinking about my dad, and I have two days of the year that are really really hard for me. Um, my birthday and 9/11. 9/11 still hits kind of hard. So anyway, it's hard because most people don't understand that experience. It's not something I can just talk to anybody about and expect them to understand. Even though I've got some great friends and they do their very best, but I do have one really good friend. And Phil, if you're out there, if you're happen to be listening, I'm talking to you, my pal. But I met Phil nearly 30 years ago on my first day at work at Delta Airlines, and he and I've we've been best buddies ever since. He is literally the brother that I don't have, and he's also a few years older than me. So he understands. He understands what it's like because he went through it himself. And but yeah, it's a tough thing. Yeah, Brian, the days certainly do feel like they just speed up, don't they? Um, Sometimes it's like I don't know where the time goes, especially when I look at my kids. All of them. All uh, I've been blessed to have helped raise 7 kids. Still got 2 little ones now that are 7 and 8, and but man, I sure do feel aged some days. Yeah, CB, you like the shirt? I think it's pretty neat. I haven't had any new aviation shirts in quite a while, so I'm gonna have to buy a few. And then I'm thinking about buying me one that has the channel logo on the back, just for days where I'm out and about doing aerospace type stuff, and maybe I can. That shirt might be might be the bridge that starts a conversation with a young man or young lady about airplanes. So anyway, but yeah, Brian, the crispy flying in the Cessna, man, that was awesome. I really enjoyed that. You know, I've never taken a dog up with me. I've never been in an airplane and had a dog as a passenger, but I have seen people fly with dogs before. And there was an older gentleman. So when I was a teenager, this person was probably in their 70s. So I'm pretty confident this individual is no longer with us, but and I won't name his name or anything, but he owned a J3 Cub. He was someone that I got to fly his Cub quite often. But he had a beautiful golden retriever, and he would take his dog flying, and he had a special seatbelt fabbed up to where the dog was completely buckled in and safe. And this dog truly loved to fly, and he would tell me that the whole time that they would fly, the dog would just be staring out the window, just looking at all this stuff. And it's made me realize over time that we have the option, we have the opportunity to gift certain experiences to animals that don't wouldn't ordinarily have that experience. I mean, can you imagine what was going through that dog's mind? It's like that person who made the bubble helmet and let the dog go. It was either a bubble helmet or some sort of enclosure where the dog got to go scuba diving. I mean, that's amazing. I bet that dog was like blown away. But yeah, that's just I always thought that's interesting. So yeah, yeah, you're right, Brian. The days go by much faster than we need to sometimes, and before you know it, it's all over. So we have to do the best that we can while we can. So yeah, Brian, Aerospace Fix T-shirts. I don't know if it's going to be something that I actually try to sell. I know a lot of YouTube channels do that, and it would make a lot more sense if I had, 100,000 viewers or something. I don't know if I could handle selling that many T-shirts, but um, if it's something you're interested in, I don't think I'm going to immediately just be like starting a store or anything. I did contemplate about it. I did reserve the page on my website, but it's not something that's going to happen anytime soon. It may not happen at all. But I'll get one made and wear it. And if y'all like it, and if you want one, I'll be glad to get one to you somehow and whatnot. But we'll see how it goes. I think I've got through all the comments. Hopefully, I have. If I've missed you, then I'm sorry. Just repost it, I guess. So, what are the plans for this weekend, folks? What are we doing? Anybody traveling? Anybody doing anything related to aircraft or spacecraft? I was originally, um, I was originally going to be traveling to just the other side of Nashville this weekend, taking my son to visit a friend. And on the way there, I was going to stop into the Beechcraft Heritage Museum in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and I was going to uh, share the museum with y'all. It's a great museum. They do have a starship there, which is fan. I absolutely love the starship. Another Rutan design, but they also have the 1932 Model 17. They call it the Staggerwing. Beautiful airplane. I'm really surprised that there's not a Staggerwing Beach in the Smithsonian. It's truly a legendary airplane. It's even when I was really young and I was into really sleek and fast airplanes. Every time I saw a Staggerwing at air show, I was just drooling. Just a truly, truly, truly beautifully built airplane. Full circle, you have a good night, man. You be safe, and I'm glad you got to stop in and hang out. So we'll talk to you soon, my friend. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. But yeah, the Stagger Wing Beach is just a beautiful. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please look it up, or you know what, I can look it up for you. Let's see if I can. Try to bring one up. When I was like 17, I think I was the first time I got to see Staggered Wing, and it was at Sun and Fun in Florida. And this airplane was just, there was just something about it. The shape of the wing, um, the radial engine, it was just mind boggling how beautiful an airplane this was. And the older I get, the more I see that in airplanes that maybe I didn't think so much about previously. But definitely look into the staggered wing. So let's see what we got here. Sorry, I'm having to lean off screen. I've got my laptop way over to the side. All right, let's look at the staggered wing. There you have it, folks. Hey, a Canadian stagger wing. It was almost like I planned it, CB. Let me I would find it difficult to think that people don't appreciate that airplane. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I've seen a red one and I've seen a yellow one. And who knows, there's only like about, I don't know, a handful flying, I think. I think there's more than a handful. There might be 20 or 30 still flying. So who knows, maybe the red one and the yellow one I saw, it could be this yellow one right here. But it is certainly a just unbelievable airplane. Yeah, you're right, CB. Another Pratt. Can't go wrong with a Pratt. But yeah, these are truly just beautiful, man. Okay, full circle. So you've been so you've flown this aircraft in a flight simulator. So as of right now, you have more pilot experience than I do in a staggered wing beach because I have not flown it in real life or a simulator. So you are you have out qualified me, but that's okay. That's great. I'd like to. I know you got to go, but I'd like at some point maybe you can tell me a little bit about it, the flying characteristics. Because I know some of these flight simulators these days are fairly, you know, realistic. So aviation and science, you have a model of the stagger wing. Cool. It's just a beautiful airplane. That's all there is to it. Absolutely beautiful airplane. But the Beechcraft Heritage Museum has, I think, one or two. I think they have a Model 17 and then the Model 18, which is just a, I think the 18 came out in 34, something like that. But either way, of course, they have all the Bonanzas, and I'm a big Bonanza nut. I love the VTEL Bonanza. You know, the A36, the F3036, I think, is what is currently being produced. But really, really cool stuff. Highly recommend it if you're ever in that area. No, Brian, I have not heard from Mike today. Uh, well, I take that back. He did reply. Excuse me. He did reply to a comment that I left on one of his videos earlier today. But other than that, that's all I've seen. I was actually anticipating him being live today, and I try really hard not to be live at the same time as any of you, uh, just out of respect. Not just because not because I think I'm going to steal your viewers, because I think it's probably the other way around. I don't have a whole lot of real estate and a lot of people following me yet, but mainly because I like to watch y'all stuff. So anyway, well, folks, it's been fun. I hope slightly different, a little bit of educational stuff behind the wing installing and the aircraft critical angle of attack. I'm going to get off here and go eat dinner and probably relax and sit around with the wife and the kids here in a little bit, maybe watch a movie. But oh, absolutely, CB. Yeah, I'm asked quite often, what's my favorite airplane? I cannot answer that. I might be able to narrow it down to my favorite airplane within a particular category and class, but even that's very difficult. It really is. And I'm kind of prone to going towards the airplanes that I've flown the most because I've got a personal connection with those. So that's that's kind of how there's a lot of people that do not like Grummins, the kind that I flew in this picture right here. There's a lot of people that are actually terrified of them because it is an airplane that you have to fly. It's not gonna. You just don't take your hands off the around the sky like a J3. You have to be careful with landings. You know, it's a short wing. It's got a sink rate. That's incredible. When you pull the power on it, it's coming down. So, and there were a couple of fatalities, several actually, in the very first model that they produced back in 68, 69, because it had a very high performance airfoil. And so it was very easy to stall, even when you're not going fast and you're, you know, in a, weird attitude, so to speak. So stalls were the killer of that plane. And in the AA1 that I flew, they corrected that by, and it made stalls much better. In fact, it stalls very gentle, even more so than the modern Cessnas. So it worked out great. Thank you, CB. I appreciate you your comment there. Um, another Friday live stream accomplished. So I'm still learning. Y'all bear with me. This is still a whole new experience to do this, and I'm very fortunate to have this opportunity and experience with y'all. Yeah, you're right, CB. The bonded, it wasn't just the wing, the fuselage, the entire airplane was bonded aluminum. And it was, Jim Beattie's first design when he was in college. It was originally known as the BD1, and the original design had folding wings. And so American Aviation bought the design, and I think this was about the time that he was having some financial difficulties, so he may have sold it because of that. But so American Aviation got a hold of the design and did away with the folding wings, which pleased the FAA. The FAA did not want to certify it as a normal category aircraft, and so from there it became a production airplane. And after the first year, Uh, no, not the first year. So American Aviation built it between 68 and 70, or like early 71, and then Grumman built it. So this example, oop, wrong way. It's hard to tell in that picture, but the white hubcaps, so to speak, on the plane actually have the Grumman logo. So, and that's why I'm a big Grumman fan, so to speak. The A1B came out, they were known as the TCAT, and they also got the name of, uh, with the AA1C, they were called the Lynx. So, as most people know, Grummans are always named after cats. So, that's the only thing I didn't like about having the AA1A, is I wished it had one of the names. So that would have made it a little bit cooler, I think. But yeah, I think you're right, CB. The Grumman design, it was kind of ahead of its time with bonded aluminum, and yeah, it kind of worried some people. And there was some there was some people that did experience some delamination of the bonded aluminum structure of the wings, and that was a key point for annual inspection. Is you had to really look at the wing and make sure you were not having any delamination. But but they were super fun to fly. It operated on five. I think you mentioned it. If it's efficient airplane, yeah, 5 gallons of fuel an hour. That you could get an SDC to where you could burn auto gas in them, which this one that I flew did. So you could fly it honestly cheaper than driving a car. And so that was pretty interesting for its time. Yes, that's correct. So the wing spar was it was a 6-inch diameter tube that went from tip to tip, and it also served as the fuel tanks. It also served as the mounting point for the seats, at least in the two plays. Well, the Tigers and Cheetahs also had the seats mounted up front to the spar, um, but yeah, it was a very strong design. But and you're right, that's the reason spins were prohibited. And I'll have to share a picture of the panel of this one in big white letters on a red background on the panel. It said spins prohibited. Yeah, because the centrifugal force just took over. I heard from a guy who flew a Traveler, which was the first version of the four-place Grumman. That was actually what made by Grumman. The Traveler was made by American Aviation. But it was over. It didn't take it didn't take long to get that fuel out to the tips of the wings, and then you got all that centrifugal force, and then your engine goes dead. You lose fuel to the engine, um, and the next thing you know, you're trying to get out of a spin that you don't have enough vertical stabilizer to give it the authority to recover. So, um, yeah, that was a bad thing. But when I was learning to fly again at the age of 11, I had read a little bit about the Grumps. They were um, uh, some of the aviation magazines at the time, and people were always talking about their safety record. And so I was a bit nervous as a student pilot at first when I first flew. The first one I flew was actually an AA1B, but this guy, his name was Glenn. He was a retired Eastern pilot, and he flew a Traveler. And he asked me about how I like flying the Grumman, and I told him, I said, well, I like it a lot. It's like flying a little jet fighter around. Um, but my concern is with the stalling and then entering a spin, and you know I've read some stuff that makes me a little nervous. And so he took me up in his Traveler, and he said, look, I don't want to scare you, but I want to prove to you how safe these airplanes are. And what you're reading is generally rumors or information from people who have never flown these airplanes. And so he put the airplane in a power off stall in a landing configuration, so full flaps are out. Um, Installed it, and when I say stalled, he buried this thing in a stall. It was probably the most intense stall I've ever been in. But the plane just nosed over gently, and he applied power put the carb heat in, add power, started slowly retracting the flaps, and that was it. And he proved to me, he built my confidence in the can't you can't expect the airplane to handle like a 50 or a J3 Cub. It's not going to. So it's not a hands-off airplane. You have to be on top of things. But um, tidbits in your man, yeah, you're well. Once again, CB, you're amazing me because here I am having another conversation with an airplane that I can't have with too many people. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you're familiar with the AA1 series and AA5s. I wish they were still built today. The type certificate for the airplane is still privately owned, um, which means it could go back in production. But I think every once in a while you hear from these people and they keep claiming. I guess people want the plane to be built today, um, but they don't have any plans as of right now to put it back in production. Not, the Cheetah versions, which the Traveler, the Cheetah, the same airplane. It was just based on power difference, and that's kind of the same way with well, not really the A1 series. Everything related to those four versions, uh, had some sort of aerodynamic improvement. So the A1 had the sleek wing that was prone to stalling. The A1A had the improved wing, which did reduce its cruise speed by like 3 knots, so it was a little bit slower. And then the B model came out and had more of a dorsal fin and had more availability of SDCs and stuff. And I've even seen a tail dragger version of a Grumman AA1, which was pretty amazing airplanes to see in a tail dragger conversion. Great airplanes. If anyone ever has a chance to fly them, you'll love it. Cool about um, flying a plane that you can open a canopy on in flight. You could up into I think 115 miles per hour. You could slide the canopy open halfway, and it's like flying in a convertible. It was a lot of fun. I did suck a chart out the canopy one time. Lost that $6 chart. Someone was probably outside in their backyard grilling out, and an aeronautical chart just falls in their lap. I've often wondered what may have happened to that chart. It's probably just ended up in a tree and no one ever knew about it. But the movie Twister, oh, absolutely. I've seen both of them, and I hear there might be a third one coming out. But yeah, Twister, I actually got to see a tornado from the air one time from that airplane, believe it or not. It was a wild idea that my dad had, but we got to see it from a distance. I've always been terrified of tornadoes because I was in one as a kid, and so I've learned to respect weather. And that's probably one of the reasons I became a weather spotter as an adult, is because I'm fascinated with weather, and of course it's related to flying too. So I think every pilot becomes an amateur meteorologist in some respect. But yeah, they're cool. Tornadoes are cool, and the movies are Twister. It's a great movie. Miss Bill Paxton. I was really saddened when he passed away, but yeah, you bet, CB. I'm always amazed by your knowledge. So yeah. It's a great airplane. Both series. Did you know that Grumman made a twin engine airplane? It was based on the Tiger, but it had a larger wing and, of course, twin engines, and it was called the Cougar. There are some still flying today. It's a very, very rare airplane. I don't know how people find parts for those. They probably have to manufacture their own parts or get a company to do it. But yeah, look it up. There's a few pictures on the internet of the Grumman Cougar, and cool airplanes. One that I wished I could say I've flown in, but I've never even seen a Cougar in person. So really, really cool airplane. It's not super big. It's about the equivalent of like a Cessna 310. So anyway, but I'm gonna get off here and get into the house and go eat dinner, folks. I appreciate it. I think this is the most fun I've had all week. So I've always enjoyed this. Certainly appreciate y'all joining in and whatnot. And uh, we'll do it again soon. So maybe during the weekend, depending on projects and weather and all that good stuff. But anyway, I'm going to get off here, folks. Thanks again for all y'all do and hanging out and honoring me by spending some time with me. So I'm still working on that video. I know I've been saying this for months now. It's coming. I think this weekend I'm going to focus on getting some shorts out. CB, I think your ideas are worth paying attention to because I think you've got some great ideas. So I'm going to shift directions and make some shorts because it's a lot quicker. And I got to get some content out there. I've been very lazy here lately. I'm dependent upon live streams. So I almost said I've become dependent on missiles from Top Gun. But anyway, folks, y'all have a great weekend. Maybe I'll see you again during the weekend. If not, sometime middle of next week. And I appreciate y'all's support. So without any further ado, let's go eat some dinner. So you folks take care, and we'll see you next time.